When power scaling the gods of destruction, and in particular Belmod himself in the manga continuity, I often hear the point brought across that Belmod is one of the weakest gods of destruction, which is mainly due to Toppo's statement that Jiren's power is even greater than the universe's god of destruction. And man, do I hate this statement because it really shouldn't be true. And in this quick video, I'm going to hopefully walk through the reasons why I believe that Belmod is not only much stronger than Jiren, but also probably one of the strongest gods of destruction in the entire multiverse. In the manga, after Jiren's recruited to Team Universe 11, there's an additional page in the manga where Belmod gives a sigh of relief after Jiren agrees to join the Tournament of Power, where Belmod questions what he would have done if Jiren didn't agree to fight. A lot of people have interpreted this as Belmod being weaker than Jiren, because if Belmod was so much stronger than Jiren, he could have just forced Jiren to enter the arena regardless, right? Well, there are a few flaws with this philosophy. First of all, each universe only had a limited amount of time to prepare and gather their 10 fighters who would be competing in this tournament. Universes that failed to meet this quota would be quote-unquote left behind, meaning that the Omni Kings would probably just erase any universe that fell short automatically. When Toppo initially brought up the idea of the Tournament of Power to Jiren, Jiren refused to fight on Universe 11's behalf because his morality would not allow him to partake in the erasure of another universe, and in response to learning that their own universe would be destroyed in turn, Jiren was completely content with this outcome, leaving it up to pure fate. Now, let's say that Jiren refuses to join the Tournament of Power, and Belmod uses brute force to bring Jiren into the arena with zero convincing. What happens if Jiren tells the Omni Kings and the Grand Priest that he refuses to fight and that he was brought against his will, making Universe 11 too small to compete in the tournament? Or let's say that just like Hit, Jiren threw the match and eliminated himself and jumped out of the arena, because just like he initially told Toppo, he would not be partaking in causing the destruction of another universe. Yes, Jiren forfeiting would cause the destruction of Universe 11, but Jiren has already said that he didn't care about the universe being erased to begin with. And well, sure, Belmod could just erase Jiren for not participating, but without Jiren, Belmod and the rest of Universe 11 would be joining him shortly after anyways when Zeno erases their universe for losing the tournament. So yes, maybe Belmod could have physically forced Jiren into the arena, but there was still no guarantee that Jiren was actually going to fight on the universe's behalf. And I believe that Belmod's sigh of relief by Jiren joining Universe 11's team was more so because if Jiren refused, one of these scenarios could have potentially happened, and Universe 11's survival would have been significantly reduced. And I don't think that it had anything to do with Belmod being concerned on whether or not he could beat Jiren in a fight himself, because Belmod beating Jiren in a fight wasn't what was going to keep the universe from being erased. Jiren's participation in the Tournament of Power was what was going to keep them alive. You also have to consider that Belmod also just came from witnessing Goku wielding God Ki almost flawlessly in his exhibition match against Toppo, which would only increase the worries of Toppo being able to carry the entire universe to its victory. Belmod could have certainly put his faith in the Toppo winning the Tournament of Power, and maybe assuming Goku is the only other strong fighter in the entire multiverse, they could have some hope. And maybe risking Universe 11 losing the Tournament of Power wouldn't have been such a big deal if they were just fighting over the Dragon Balls or something like bragging rights. But having your entire universe along with your own existence being erased is a pretty big deal, and just like every other universe and every other god of destruction, Belmod probably wanted to take as little chances as he possibly could, meaning having Jiren to help Toppo win the battle. So as you can see, I really don't think Belmod was worried about having to fight Jiren because he was afraid to lose. I think Belmod was more so concerned with Jiren actually getting into the ring and participating in keeping the universe universe alive. And hey, we are still talking about the same God of Destruction who stopped the other 10 gods from jumping Beerus and told them that he wanted a free-for-all. You seriously mean to tell me that the God of Destruction who wasn't afraid to take up smoke with 11 other gods of destruction was afraid of fighting Jiren? Now, I do have to give Toppo some credit, because if anybody knows how strong Jiren or Belmod should be, it would have to be Toppo himself, who also works alongside both of them as a Pride Trooper. But this is heavily dependent on if Jiren or Belmod have ever showed Toppo their full power to begin with. Goku and Vegeta have been training with Beerus the entirety of Dragon Ball Super, and yet Goku and Vegeta have yet to see Beerus use anywhere near his full power. Yes, Toppo is training to be the next God of Destruction, but just because Toppo is training with Belmod doesn't mean that he's ever seen the full extent of his power, let alone would Toppo even be strong enough to push Belmod to need to use his full power to begin with. And the same could be said about Jiren. If there was a fighter who was capable of bringing out Jiren's full power, then I'd be willing to bet that Belmod would have wanted to recruit said fighter to the universe's team to ensure their survival. But at last, no such fighter has ever been mentioned to exist, so when could Toppo have ever potentially seen Jiren's full power? And similar to Belmod, Toppo isn't even strong enough for Jiren to need to use his full power even if they have sparred together in the past. All of these holes can be poked in any evidence that Jiren is actually stronger than Belmod, and we've still yet to cover Belmod's feats during the Zeno exhibition match. I did cover Belmod's feats in the Zeno exhibition match in a previous video about which gods of destruction could beat Beerus, but in case you haven't seen it yet, I'll briefly cover this event in this video as well. During the Zeno exhibition match, Belmod uses a technique that traps the other 11 gods of destruction in a barrier, where he then proceeds to rain down several cards of destruction, which is able to injure the other 11 gods of destruction, with the one of the last standing gods of destruction by the end of the Zeno exhibition match himself, believing that this attack had the potential to kill them. Even Sidro with the barrier strong enough to block Beerus' attack still lacked the ability to defend himself against Belmod's assault, and every other god of destruction, including Beerus, was only able to shield themselves helplessly as their bodies were sliced by these cards. It was only after Liquor managed to break free from Belmod's attack, which seems to have surprised Belmod himself, that Liquor was able to hit Belmod with a flurry of attacks which freed the other gods of destruction. Now, even though Belmod went down for the count, as we see later in the manga, after getting hit by a flurry of ki attacks by an enraged god of destruction Liquor, Belmod took virtually no damage. I also noticed that Belmod didn't seem disoriented in the slightest after the tournament, which is curious because when Rumshi uses his battle cry technique to stun the other gods of destruction, you'd think that Belmod would have also been affected by this attack and at least a little bit shaken up when he was standing at the end. But it's almost as if Belmod is still in perfect condition even at the end of the tournament. It's also been stated recently that Black Frieza's new powers are just now coming close to the powers of a god of destruction. And well, Belmod is not only able to tank multiple ki attacks from an enraged god of destruction and take virtually no damage from it, but he's also able to seal and damage 11 other gods of destruction at the same time with zero effort and a smile on his face. I really don't see Jiren being able to tank the blunt force of this attack that even Beerus was affected by, unless Jiren is just much stronger than all the other gods. But that would contradict Beerus still being stronger than Goku at this current point in the manga, with Goku obviously being much stronger than he was when he was giving Jiren trouble during the Tournament of Power, and it would also contradict the statement about Black Frieza, because Jiren should honestly be nowhere near Black Frieza's level of power, and the statement about Black Frieza's power implies that he's only coming close to a god of destruction's powers, not that he can damage 11 of them at the same time and tank a bloodlusted attack from one of them just like Belmod can. And to be fair, I do think that to hype up Jiren as an antagonist of the Tournament of Power, Jiren probably was supposed to be stronger than Belmod, or at least a rival, which is probably the reason Belmod pretended to fake his own death from the writer's perspective, so that Jiren and Belmod's powers were left ambiguous when compared compared to the other gods of destruction like Beerus. But when you really piece together everything and every bit of evidence, Jiren just doesn't fit the criteria as somebody who is more powerful than Belmod or any of the other gods of destruction. Maybe in martial arts skills or combat abilities, since Jiren has trained his entire life and Belmod seems to not really enjoy fighting altogether, but in an all-out battle, Belmod certainly beats Jiren 10 out of 10 times without a question until we have any real feats that prove otherwise. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and if you think that Jiren being stronger than Belmod in the manga is a retcon or if it still stands, and also let me know why you think that. As always, I do appreciate you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to see more videos like this in the future, and I'll see you all in the next one.